wake up in the morning, feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders. I wanna move closer, but I don't control it. I know I've been trying, the door isn't open. I know it sounds funny, but really though, in the beginning we really close. Now we just cruising up on the coast. Don't wanna lose you, I really don't. My God, I'm working so hard. I let my guards down and I'm feeling so far. You won't cut me off and I'm ready to grow and I'm ready to know you more. Please, I honestly say I'm mature. It ain't my decision, it's yours. But I will persuade with my all, cause I'm ready to run to your arms. I just want you to know that I wanna go to a place where I find you, a place I call home, a place where I'm not alone. And maybe I'll grow just a little bit more, and I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored. I go back and forth when I feel your presence. I'm above the world, there isn't much better, but then I fall levels and levels below it. Don't know where I'm going, don't know where I'm holding. I say I gave up, but I know I didn't. It's just my frustration, I'm only human. I act like I know what I'm really doing, as long as it's you that I'm really choosing. I will never give up, no, I wanna do it your way. You're the king of the world, only wanna do what you say. I know that it's possible to give back my heart to you, do it that you choose. I just want you to know that I wanna go to a place where I find you, a place I call home, a place where I'm not alone. And maybe I'll grow just a little bit more, and I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored. I know that you love me, I really do. Just wanna do right by you till it's through. Please don't ignore me, please just adore me. Wanna be closer to you. I just wanna make you happy. A shining light looking right at me. I give to you gladly, that's my reaction. I just want you to know that I wanna go to a place where I find you, a place I call home, a place where I'm not alone. And maybe I'll grow just a little bit more, and I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored, then I'll be adored.
Okay.
Welcome to Parents and Pennies, where family meets financing and every dollar counts. Brought to you by MITM Business Consultants. Join your hosts, Art Abrahamian, with over 12 years of experience in finance, banking, and business advising, and Roy Rosales, a father of two and coach to many, who has an extensive background in real estate. These two family men are here for you, bringing real stories, practical tips, and financial wisdom every week to keep your family thriving. They'll help you secure your family's financial future through simple, memorable financial adjustments that will help you achieve your financial goals. Because when it comes to family and finances, it's not about having more. It's about making the most of what you have. Here's Art and Roy.
We need to update that preacher, dog.
For those of you who just heard Roy on the hot mic go, we need to update that picture, dog. What's going on, everybody? Episode 6, Parents and Pennies. We are excited. How's everybody doing today?
Man, I am truly blessed. Shout out to these four most important people, things in my life, which is God, my family, my clients, and my football players. So, shout out.
And if you all notice, we have a guest with us today, a very
That's
special
right.
guest. Ricardo Flores in the house. Ricardo, what is going on? How are you?
Just great to be here. Nothing like being welcomed with a warm breakfast burrito.
That's
and
right.
Yeah.
We pay in breakfast burritos over here at MITM. Put in an application. Before we get started, we'd like to introduce the guest, Ricardo Flores. And, not only is he a great person, but I have quite a history with him. We go back to my first days in the banking industry. He was one of my mentors. He was the light in a dark room is what we were talking about earlier, because I hated a lot of my supervisors and bosses. And, if you're out there, you know exactly who you are. You suck.
Yeah.
But you know what? The one guy that made a difference was Ricardo. And to this day, I have a love for him that goes beyond, friendship, where it's like, man, you'll always have that place in my heart. So, Ricardo, before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Art, man, appreciate you. So, the feeling is mutual. Obviously when we met back at the banking industry.
When I was like 17 and a half.
Yeah.
13 years ago.
With hair.
Yeah.
With hair.
I remember, obviously my role then was financial literacy. I've spent the last 25 years in banking finance. Started as a bank teller, moved my way up. I was a financial advisor, business banker, branch manager. And when we met, I was the financial literacy program manager. And really, as you remember what that meant, my job was to go to different branches and really gain business and go out and present this financial literacy to the community. And truth be told, people were like, financial literacy, what is this?
Yeah.
And Art was like, all right, I'm going to learn from this guy, see what's going on. And he was the one that was actually listening, paying attention. I could see that he had the hunger to just improve himself. And that resonated with me. And so subconsciously, I thought, I'm going to spend time with this guy. I know that he is different. I know that he means business. I know that he wants to make a difference in people. And that's how we met. And so fast forward, I ended up leaving in that bank. And now I'm actually a mortgage loan officer, or the actual term is mortgage loan originator. And basically, I do mortgage loans. I find loans for people that want to buy homes, that want to refinance, that want to do equity lines. But I take that approach more as a consultant. I want to find out what's really the solution for them. So that's, I guess, my background. That's how I met Art, and this is where I am now. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, we're happy to have you. And it's funny, we got our A-team mortgage and realtor and everybody involved. And, a lot of the deals that we do, we always recommend Ricardo to our clients because we trust him, and our clients always come back to us and say, hey, that dude was one of the top tier people we could ever work with. Today's topic is a good one. And Roy and I actually were very heated about this topic.
Oh, yeah.
Last week when we came up with it, because we were like, man, we're tired of people complaining and not taking action. So today's title, just like it says, is if you got time to complain, you have time to grow. Yeah. So what we're going to be talking about today is essentially, it's okay to acknowledge that something's wrong. Mm-hmm. We can acknowledge that something may not be going right, but being a professional victim and doing nothing about it, it's the old, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you. Like, complain about it once. What'd you say earlier? You can complain about it once.
You only got, you can only complain once and move on and move forward and change it, because pain is always going to be there, right? And that's something that we misunderstand. Is like pain, you can never get away from pain. It can be good pain and bad pain, right? So if you want to grow, pain is going to be there. And at the end of the day, we discussed this a couple episodes again about mental health, right? Yeah, you would like to share what's, bad in your life. However, what are we doing about it? Are we making any differences? Are we trying to change something, adjust something in our life that it may help us? Or are we just going to stay down and expect someone else to come and help us, right? And that's where it makes the difference between, a professional victim versus someone that wants to grow. Like, if you got time to complain, you got time to go get, you got time to grow, or you got time to learn. You got time to listen to some positive books, some positive things in the life. And I think that's overall, like, what I mean, we're not even talking about money. We're just talking about how you just feel, right? And that's so positive. And again, I want to go back to, guys, you know, this is the first day I'm meeting Ricardo, and I appreciate you being here, Ricardo, and you know, being a mentor into his life. But I want to know, like, what was that moment when you're like, this is a guy who's gonna be a part of my life?
Immediate.
Immediate. Okay.
I knew right then and there, man. He's just an awesome person. Again, you have to understand something. Our background, I mean, he has a much more extensive background. I did 10 years. He did 20-something years. How many years did you do in the banking?
19.
19. So he had double what I had put in.
So you're just literally telling his age already, bro.
Come on, dude. He's
So, like,
20 going
I'm
on.
embracing it.
But, you know, and we got Rise with K-Dos. What's going on? I said, it's Parents and Pennies time. What's good, Art and Roy? What's going on? Kendall, how are you, brother?
What's going on?
But from the moment I met him, bro, it was like that. When I tell you that industry is very volatile. It's a very toxic industry. He's been in it longer than me, and he got worse than I got because that was at a time where what was going on wasn't ending up on social media, wasn't ending up on MySpace, Facebook, Instagram. It wasn't on those things. So I know that you have horror stories of people not meeting their goals. What was it, January? What do they call it? It's
jump into January.
Jump into January. And for those of you who don't know, if you Google or YouTube jump into January, this time of year used to be the most stressful time for bankers. Because that was when all the expectations of sales goals and the quotas would come due. And people would literally, I have known people who, like Ricardo, have time in the industry who used to get mentally, emotionally, and physically sick from it. Because he comes from a time where if you didn't meet your quota of making your dials, making your numbers, they would make you go into a closet where they had a phone and a desk and make you make those dials.
Got it.
That must have been your region, but my region, we had offices.
No, see, in my region, that was punishment.
Gotcha.
And I don't know. You know, and it's a lot of negativity. Everybody's out for their own benefit.
Shark.
Yeah, it's a dog eat dog world. You're worried about yourself. You're worried about getting ahead, and you come across somebody like him who's like, I'm here to educate. And I always knew I wanted to follow in his footsteps and be in the education role because I always said, even as a young teen, I want to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Not early in my career, but at the end of my career, I want to do more teaching. And coming across somebody like him was like, hey, I'd like to teach where everybody else was like, figure it out or sink.
Yeah.
I immediately connected with him.
Nice. Well, that's inspiring to anyone that's looking out, praying for those people in their life, right? You got to have that open mind, you know, and clear a vision because that's where that person's going to arrive. God is going to bless you sooner or later with what you're praying for. But are you going to be ready for that? What do you say?
Rise with K-Dos, who used to be a banker, said Art is telling no lies about that closet. Anybody in this region, if you were a banker, you know, in LA region too, but, you know, continue on. I'm sorry. That's just.
No, hey, man, that's crazy. But that's crazy. I never heard that. So that's crazy.
It was pretty bad.
You know, and I think that a lot of people, again, if we complain, we won't see or we won't be ready for that blessing.
Yeah.
That person in front of you can be the reason why you're where you are now, you know, years later. So, you know, we're going to go more into details with that, but that was a perfect example of like you saw it right away that he was just like paying attention. And then you like, wow, he's taking the time to really educate me. So it that connected without you guys even knowing each other.
Yeah.
Right. So it's,
and
man,
I guess one thing I would add to that is that, you know, Art, he was not new to growing himself. So in the back, he was growing himself. So the moment that he saw somebody else, like I was just a mirror for him.
Yeah.
Now I think that's a key difference here because some people say, well, how is that possible that you saw somebody you knew? It's almost like love at first sight kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
But it's because if you grow yourself and then you find that person, then it's a match because you can resonate. It's like that example of the tiger that is domesticated, and the moment he gets put out in the wild and he sees another tiger, I mean, that tiger just connects with its nature, with its belonging, right?
Yeah.
But it's the growth that I want to, I guess, from my perspective, point out that Art had done in the past. And so I guess for me and whoever's listening, like if you're not finding that person, I don't want to jump ahead, but I think my thought is like, you got to work on yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's one of those things too where I was a very, like, he's super proper.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. He is very proper, very professional. And I'm professional, but I'm rough around the edge professional.
Professional-ish.
I'm professional-ish. I say it like it is.
Yeah.
I curse at people. I tell them how stupid they are when they're being stupid. And he's like,
True that.
and I remember when he left, the rampage I went on, and I just cursed all his bosses out. You guys are a bunch of idiots. That was the one good thing. I pointed at my boss when I was talking to my district. I'm like, you let him stay, but you told him that he doesn't need to educate people. Like, because it got to the point, it's funny, right? Like, here's the banking industry for you. We want to influence the community. We want to approach the community. We want to educate the community. Hey, we're not getting any sales from this. Screw the community, pull the program. We need to go sell. And it's like, cool. You know, in the back end, all of them like to talk about community outreach, this and this and this. You had people like him and I who genuinely cared about the community.
Yeah.
He was driving in. Where were you living at that time?
Ontario.
Oh, you were still in Ontario.
Yeah.
From Ontario to the desert twice a week.
Yeah.
Never once did he go, I hate that drive.
Yeah.
And this is why he never complained. I'm sure he didn't like the drive, but he didn't complain. He just did it. And the people around us saw that we were putting effort and time into something. And then, you know, that's us leaving was the best thing that could have happened, because we got to take our passion and actually apply it. Not this, we care about the community. We're not getting any sales, so we got to stop caring about the community.
Well, I think that's where a lot of the corporations, or, you know, they lose sight of the long term.
Right.
Right? It's the short term. Oh, it's community, but then 3 months later, oh, we didn't get anything from it. Scratch it. No, this is long term. If you want to build that relationship and trust with people in general, right? They got to see you. They got to hear from you. Not only once, not twice, but so many times before they can even say, I do want to know more.
Yeah.
Right? So because they feel comfortable and they feel like they know you. And I think that's what I believe we are here today, is because we are now one of those rare people that really genuinely want to go out to our communities and educate. I don't want nothing from you. I just want to give you this.
Yeah. All I want is your ears.
Yeah.
Respect that I'm here and don't talk. I was teaching at College of the Desert the last 3 weeks in a row. And it's like, I went off on a student very, very aggressively. And
Describe went off on a student.
so the guy has big ears, and he wasn't listening. And he just kept talking when I would talk. And one day I just got fed up with it. And I told him, I need you to answer the question that I said. Oh, I didn't hear you. I said, it's statistically impossible with those things on your head that you didn't hear me. You could have heard me from Mars. So you're just choosing not to hear me. And this is a college student, right? I'm not talking to a kid. I tell a kid that too if he's acting up. But I'm telling
the
a
voice is
grown-ass
a little
man.
softer.
Yeah, no. I'm cursing at this grown-ass man, and the teacher, so, you know, I'm trying to get a classroom over there, and the person that's watching me teach is like, I'm just going to let this keep going because it's funny. And, but I'm dealing with adults. And I'm like, hey, dude, I don't care that you want to be on your phone. I don't care that you want to talk. You just don't do it when I'm talking, except I use a lot more colorful words than that. Pretty much told him, like, shut the F up. To his face. But at the end of it, you know what happened? He came up to me and he apologized. He said, hey, man to man, I apologize. I said, dude, I didn't want it to get to that point. I asked you 4 times nicely. Now you're getting the real, like, version of me.
Yeah.
But that was where he's like, I didn't hear you. I'm like,
Yeah.
you can echo. I said, you can do echolocation with those things.
Yeah, I
Like-
got you. No, you yeah, that and that's what. Yeah, respect, right? That respect. That someone's taking their time to be there, educating. Just if you just capture one thing from any meeting that you go to, it was worth it, right? And if you didn't capture anything, that's still worth it. Great, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
Right? But don't just be there and waste your time when right now at any age, you can learn something that can benefit you and your family tree, generational wealth. That's it. But if you're not taking advantage of it, that's where I think it's going wrong for people.
in art, I was just kind of visualizing that classroom or that environment with the student. And in the topic of complaining, I mean, you had every reason to complain.
Yeah.
Or maybe you did complain, but how did you like shift from just complaining to...
I took action.
Yeah.
Told him to use those big ears God gave him to listen instead of using his mouth, because he had a smaller mouth than he did ears.
Yeah.
So he should.
Yeah.
So it's like, go ahead, Roy. What were you gonna say?
Well, I just think in another way where people think like, well, you told him that. Well, what do you expect? You're interrupting. That's disrespectful.
Yeah, I tried other things. It didn't
You know,
work. That was the only thing that worked.
So now being honest it's a wrong thing. Now standing up when for it. So I think that those are ways that we're sorry to say it, a lot of people are getting too sensitive with it, right? It's
Too
like
soft.
Too soft.
yeah. So I'm like, no, like you're here for a reason, right? Be here for a reason, and don't disrespect me. I won't disrespect you, but also I will make sure that this time is valuable, right? So yeah, man. Let's
get into it.
Let's get into it.
So the core of today's lesson is essentially, if we have time to vent frustrations, we also have time to reflect. We have learn, and take action. And we talked about that, using this couple of our experiences. So like, why do people complain, right?
Yeah.
That's, and we pulled up some statistics on things, but the majority of all the answers came back to the reason for the complaints. It was offering temporary emotional relief. So just as food was my temporary emotional relief, complaining for some is their emotional relief. They just, even if nobody's listening, but they like it when people listen, because that's what the study showed too, is that it's easier than taking action, because it's easier to complain than it is to work on. It's easier to say I want to lose weight and I hate being big than it is to get in the gym, take a diet seriously, and limit yourself. But one of the interesting things, Roy, and Ricardo, that I noticed out of this was that it bonds people through negative experiences.
And that is 100% true. Well, just with negatives, the same way with positivity, right? You want to capture positivity, and as soon as you feel something negative from another person, you're like, yeah, no, I don't want to hang around with that person. But the negativity part, that is so bad that you're going after the negative people, that it can be like, oh, me and you can be negative.
Yeah.
Right? Me and you can be negative. Like, I'm not going to eat right, so I need to be with someone that doesn't eat right.
And we'll both complain about not
and
eating
we'll
right.
both complain afterwards, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is why I can't lose weight. Oh, exercising sucks. Or, oh, I got to wake up in the morning. Oh, I'm like, damn, bro. Like,
And it's also like people that speaks, I think, coming from the place of like wanting to understand why, right? Yeah. It's people love community. This is why there are, gangs out there, because they're bonded through a community, right? So if it's people love community, so maybe, going to church, maybe complaining, maybe like playing, whatever, football, or that's just community. So I guess from that point of view, maybe the complainers might be thinking, wait a minute, like I'm not complaining, I'm just hanging out with my people.
Yeah.
yeah.
And what do they say, right? When you look at the 5 people around you, the 5 closest people around you, that's a reflection of yourself. Mm-hmm. So if you're around complainers, people who aren't going anywhere, not like-minded people who are just, I wish, but when it comes to do, it's nothing. That's you.
Yeah.
And, I think all of us here now, especially like, I'm happy to be in this room with you two, because I'm in this room with people who have had their fair share of problems, have had their fair share of issues, but they did something about it.
Yeah.
And heck, even your burrito this morning, can I tell?
Sure, yeah.
I go in the morning, I go, hey man, what do you want? What do you want for breakfast? I'm going to get burritos. And he goes, ham or turkey. And this is that Mexican place where I can get like brain tacos and lengua. And I'm like, bro, I can't order that in there. What are you talking about? They're going to think I'm, it's like, oh, so which white person did you order this for? I was like, come on. He's like, well, I can't, he's like, my cholesterol, I can't have much carne asada and chorizo. And Ricardo was sharing with us that you went to the doctor. You tell the story. Well, how bad was it?
Yeah, so I went to the doctor, and my doctor, he's one of those doctors where he's like, Roy, I prescribe. I don't do like meditation. I don't tell you to eat well. If something's wrong, I just give you medication and fix it. End of story. So I get my blood work done, and then I guess it comes back that I'm like at 220, something crazy, right? So
the cholesterol.
Yeah, 220 cholesterol. So he's all like, my perception, he's freaking out. He's like, oh, I'm going to put you on medication. I go, no, you're not. Like, first of all, hold on. Like, you don't know my body. Like, what's going on here? And then he basically says that my cholesterol is high. And I say, I don't feel anything. And he goes, well, most people don't until they have a heart attack and they end up in a hospital and they're told that their cholesterol is high. So I basically took action and start eating better. Didn't complain, right? I just, at least for me at that moment, I was like, okay, there's a problem. There's an issue. Got to fix it. I mean, do I want to take the chances of going to the hospital like that? No, I have a family, I have kids. So I changed that. But fast forward, I remedied the problem. I dropped from like 220 to, I think it was like 140. He was surprised. I did many different things. And then, but now I'm conscious about it. That's the whole point. And this is where the story came from.
And then he's like always been super healthy, fit, young.
How long ago was this?
This was about a year and a half ago. But the doctor said, he again, this is my doctor at school. He's like, yeah, Hispanic people, it's just your, it's hereditary. So it's just your luck. And
it's transferred.
It's like bad credit. It was transferred. Yeah. Bad credit's transferred too, apparently. But it's just one of those things, right? It was like discuss, how can we turn habits that hinder growth, right? So it's like he talked about it. He had to change his habits. And by the way, if you want to chime in, don't be shy. You stop us in the middle of our sentences.
Yeah. No. If it's important to you, it's important to us.
Exactly.
Because again, we have three different views of things, three different perspectives, and you may experience something that maybe we haven't experienced, and you're saying, and now I capture that, like, oh, that's right. That seems about right. And so this bond people through shared negativity, I saw. So I was telling you guys the start of this story, and I said, you know what, I'm going to save it for the podcast because it was. I've been telling everybody about it. There are moments in my life where I forget how lucky we are to be where we're at. Yeah.
To the fact that Ricardo could take a Friday morning and be here and not be stressing out about, oh, my boss hates this, that. The fact that you are here, every Friday with me, the fact that I take time to do this, and we've set that. I went to Starbucks at 6 a.m. Now, anybody who knows me knows I don't do 6 a.m.s anymore. I quit that a long time ago. Yeah. Unless I have physical therapy or some doctor's appointment, I'm up at like 8. I don't come to the office till 10 or 11. That's my daughter and me time. That's family time. And if it's an emergency, I'll do it. But if you're just like, well, I'd like 8 o'clock. Well, I'd like a lot of things too. You're going to get 10, 11. However, I had an appointment, very early appointment that was going to span. That appointment was almost 4 hours. So I was like, let me go get these guys coffee and some pastries because, customer relations is very important to me. Bro, I have never seen, I used to be that person because I remember what that felt like, but it's been so long since I've been at a Starbucks, first of all, because I think it's a waste of money, but second of all, that early.
Yeah.
And I just saw nothing but a sea of misery. A sea of misery. People are freaking out because they're like, I gotta go. And I watched a group of randoms, grown adults. I'm not talking about children, grown adults, all in their individual uniforms. One was like from America's Tires. The other was like Angel View. The other was like some nurse. So we're not talking like, these are all the same people from the same company. No, we're talking, these are 3 separate people from 3 different professional walks of life. And they're just like, oh my God, it takes so long. I'm late for work. I'm this, I'm that. And then this is what happened. The herd mentality happened. One of the ladies goes, I'm late. I got it. You guys got to hurry it up. I'm late. Well, it's like, dude, there's like 40 of us in here. It's 6 o'clock. Everybody wants their coffee. It goes in the order that it was put in. So the one lady goes up, I want a refund. I don't got time. I got to go to work. Cool. So then the herd mentality starts. The same people in that corner complaining, I want my refund too. I don't want the coffee. I got to go. I'm late for work. I'm this, I'm that. And I'm just like, damn. And I'm sitting in the corner like, take 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I don't care. I'm just going to be on my phone. Because that sense of urgency is like, you're complaining.
Yeah.
But you went to Starbucks at 6 a.m. knowing you had work at 6:15. Everybody's there. But you found something to complain about. Like, I looked around me and I'm like, okay, it's not like there's 2 of us here, 10 people behind the counter, and this is just taking too long.
Yeah.
This was like, there's 30 people in this lobby. There's like 10 people back there stressing out, just pour milk going in, sounds everywhere. And I'm like, all right, they're pushing drinks out as quick as they can.
Plus the drive-through.
Packed. And I'm like, I get it. But I'm not going to sit there and complain about it. I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
But on my way here, when I was coming back to the office to be at that appointment, I had one of those realization moments. And I had this moment when I first went on my own and I was coming back from Disneyland on a Wednesday. And I almost got really emotional. My wife's like, "You're right." I'm like, "I don't know right now. You just need to leave me alone."
Yeah.
You know, like tear rolling down my eye. And she's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just felt like I finally broke the chains of like corporate America and I feel free." I got to see.
Say that again.
I broke the chains of corporate America and I feel free.
That's.
And I got to see those chains again. And it made me remember how I used to be. That I used to be that person that was like, "Oh, I got to go, 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 go." It was never a chance to just stop. I reflect.
Smell the flowers.
Yeah. Never to smell the flowers. But not just that. Those people were complaining and they didn't have a chance to reflect because they're on this.
So, but now, I'm going to interrupt like you
No,
said.
go ahead.
So lucky for us, I agree 100% that we are in that position. The community involves many different people that are not there. And those people that are not there, they're going to want their coffees. And so how do they take action? Because if the line is as big as you say that it was, and they're providing a service, then I guess what I'm saying is people are complaining because they want to take action so movement happens. But on the other hand, for the business, whether it's coffee shop or whatever else, I mean, I would imagine it's not the first time that this happens. So why? So then how do we make them know that there is a lack of failure in the process? Because ultimately, I guess I'm on the favor of the complainers right now. Maybe I'm going to complain. Like,
Really?
but because think about it. If there are so many people, 40 people, however many people were, how come the corporation is not taking action?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Well, that's because they don't want to spend that money. But the complainers, this is where I'm coming from. The complainers should plan better.
100%.
If you know you have to be somewhere at a certain time, then you don't do something under the expectation of exactly.
And another thing, right? Solutions. There's more coffee shops.
Exactly.
There's mom and pops coffee shops that you can go there in less than 5 minutes. You get your coffee, however you want. So there's more, right? That like you can say like you could complain, but like okay, why? That happened to me once. Not coming here again at 6 a.m. I'm gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah, I'll come here at 10.
Yeah,
or maybe I'll take it on my break. But I get where you're coming from, Ricardo, because it's like, we have to be able to control what we can control. You, me, this whole room, this whole building could not control what Starbucks does. Just because we complain, they're not going to go, well, it's best for our bottom dollar. Because at the end of the day, corporations make money by ensuring that bottom dollar costs are as low as possible, increasing revenue to their shareholders so that everybody at the top skims as much as they possibly can. Could they circumvent these issues? Absolutely they could. Hiring more staff, making the line bigger, whatever. I mean, we could sit here and solve Starbucks' issues in 20 minutes, but we can't control that. We could solve it, but what I feel that people can control is, like Roy says, they have a choice. They don't have to go to Starbucks. But me being on the receiving end of seeing what I saw, it was just like, it is poor planning. You have 15 minutes to be at work. Before you got into the coffee shop, I saw the line in the drive-thru. I saw that there was barely any parking. I see the people through the window. I consciously, before I stepped out of that car, already accepted. Yeah, I accepted. I said, well, my appointment's not till 8. I woke up at 6. I was at the coffee shop at 7. It took me almost 35 minutes to get coffee because I knew I had about an hour and 15 to get to the office to be on time. And if this coffee takes more than an hour 15, I'm lighting this place on fire. I didn't have to light the place on fire. It was 30 minutes, which is a lot for 3 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
But I would have not have even tempted the idea with 15 minutes. I just would not have done that.
And that is, again, the choice. Also, why are you doing it at 6? It already happened. What time did you go to sleep?
Yeah.
What time did you really? Time did you go to sleep? What time did you wake up? Right? You know, if you're in a hurry, get your coffee at their house. Maybe next. It's just so many things that could have gone that you didn't have to put yourself in that place to, because again, if you start complaining the very first thing in the morning, what do you think the rest of the day is going to be?
That's what it was. I think the moral of this story is like, I saw a group of people that weren't going to complain and then wash it away and then continue on their day. It's hard for us to understand this because we're around each other and we surround ourselves with people like ourselves where we're like, we'll complain and then we're over it. It's the same way I argue with my wife. We argue for 10 minutes and then we're back to lovey-dovey.
Yeah.
I've never gone to bed angry or hating or anything with anybody where it's like, I say what I need to say and I move on.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell that the first thing those people were going to do when they finally got to the office,
Complain.
I'm sorry I'm late. You'll never guess. Those stupid people behind the counter can't even make a cup of coffee and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And you know what they're going to do? They're not going to stop there. They're going to tell their coworkers. They're going to tell their clients. They're going to tell whoever's willing to listen. One of the next topic is the cost of complaining,
Uh-huh.
right? The cost of complaining. What is that? You hear that and you're like, what does that even mean? The cost of complaining, time and energy wasted. Complaining consumes time and mental bandwidth. The impact on the mindset and productivity. A negative mindset limits creative problem solving and optimism. It can spread to others, damaging morale in a workplace or group. I love that fact, and I will see if you remember it. What is a negative impact on a workplace, and what does it cost a business owner? See if you remember it.
I don't remember.
Oh,
It's a past. I'm focused on the future.
$5,000.
$5,000
is what it costs, and he taught me that. And here we go, full circle. I get to teach it back.
Right.
I'm happy about this. Employee with a workplace grievance or some sort of impact will cost the business owner financially $5,000 a year. Starbucks just cost me $5,000 a year because they didn't make coffee fast enough for one of my employees who was poorly planning for the day. Is that fair to the business owner? No. Is that fair for the corporation? No. Is that fair to that person? No. But it's true. It spreads. It spreads like fire. And I got to see it live where all three were huffing and puffing alone and they're just making it so, I hope somebody sees this.
Yeah.
I hope somebody sees this. And then boom. Like a herd mentality. Are you upset too? Are you late too? Can you believe what they're doing? And it went wild. And then everybody became more negative. Everybody was pretty cool and calm in there. Especially me. I was just like, it is what it is. And then, like fire, it spread.
But you see, and that's the so crazy how negative can be so quick, right, to spread, but positivity is so much harder.
Yeah.
Or more challenging. Why is that person so happy? Bro.
Yeah, I've had
joy,
that.
Like, you don't have joy? Like, you're not happy you woke up today? Like, forget your problem. Like, aren't you happy you woke up today? And at least you can fix those problems? But you're over here, man. And again, those are people now that I stay away from, or I'm just high and by, or, hey, I'm actually going to go to my next appointment right now. So I can't have that. Because as that, I've caught myself too. And again, I'm not perfect and I'm a human being, and I become a little negative. I start a little complaining here and there, and I catch myself and I'm like, whoa, reset.
Yeah.
Start a little prayer.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah. And then I don't want that from my wife, and I don't want that from my son. I don't want that from my daughter. And I told him, as soon as I come home, I want to be received with hugs, not complaining. You know, so it's, yeah, man, that's a trip. That's
Roy,
a trip.
what you're saying now is, you reminded me to answer the question, right? What's the cost of complaining? Well, it costs your relationship. It costs a hug. It costs,
Ooh, a hug.
people welcoming you home, right?
Hugs are good.
Yeah, hugs are great.
Well, they did a survey or a test that, if you hug 5 people a day for 5 seconds each one, that releases stress and that releases some gratitude and some.
That's why you count.
Yeah.
Whenever we hug, he counts. And I never asked him why, but I figure he does. He'll go 1, 2, 3, and I'm like, he likes my cologne so much, you got to get 5 seconds of it. But I never knew that's what it was. That's so funny.
But then your shoulders drop. Like, you're just not tense no more because you got a hug.
So you must have gotten a good hug this morning, because when you came in, you hugged me like 2 seconds only.
But also I don't want to overstep, right? That's another thing about it. Because no, I'm glad you brought that up, because people are like, well, Roy, hug me. Well, I mean,
dude,
do
let
we
go.
really know each other like that? And I don't want you to take it different too, right? And that you feel uncomfortable, just like, why is he hugging me, right? Like,
You're like, wait a minute.
yeah. So
Look where my hands are, honey. Look where my hands are. He
Yeah.
won't let go.
Yeah, so I want to make sure, like, once we start getting to know each other, then I'll be like, I'll squeeze in that hug, and I'll count 5, 4, 3.
He does.
2,
I swear to God, he does.
1.
He does.
Good. And if I really know you very well, I'll try to pop your back. So, so it's just that for me, but it makes me feel good, and it makes them feel good, and they laugh, and like, that's, I don't know what they're going through. Yeah, that hug can change their day.
Yeah,
That's
so true, man. When my wife and I had, can I say her name? I'll say it behind camera. I'm not gonna say the names. I had a service manager when I was at that branch. The one that had been around for about 40 years. You know who I'm talking about. A service manager, not the branch manager.
Maria?
No.
No, I'm just saying.
No,
there's no Maria.
Yeah, I know.
The one that lives on Avenue 48 on.
One day, my wife this was around the time one of our miscarriages had happened with my wife. And I went into work, and I just felt so heartbroken. I was so heartbroken, and this service manager, to this day, I text her and tell her that because I remember this moment, and to this day, it still hit me so hard. I was so emotional because I was trying to figure out how I feel, and she looked at me and said, come here and give me a hug. She's like, I see it in your face. And that's the mom in her. She was just a momager, is what we used to call her. And I went in, got that hug, and she squeezed me really tight, and I didn't cry, but I felt like it because I was so emotional, and I don't know how to process it because, again, going back to, as men, we tend to think we can't express these emotions, and if we do, we'll be seen as weak amongst our peers, this and this and that. But that moment hit me so hard that to this day, I will pick up the phone, and I will not just say hello. I'll say, I hope you're well. I just wanted to let you know that to this day, that hug pulled me out of a very dark place mentally. To this day, this is like 4 years later, I will still pick up the phone, and sometimes I get a text, sometimes I don't. I imagine that to this day, she wonders when she doesn't text me, like, you need to get over it, dude, it was just a hug. But I don't think she understands that one action,
How much it was. Yep.
that didn't cost her anything, what it meant to me. To this day, that, like, now it's been 5 years, 5 or 6 years later, no, 4 years. It's 4 years.
Yeah.
It's been 4 years later that it's still, I get times where it replays in my head, and the impact that it had on me at that moment resonates to this day. So it's like, you're absolutely right that sometimes all it takes is one hug to change somebody's life. I know somebody who has said, I was going to go home and kill myself that day, and this one person smiled at me and asked me how my day was, and it made me not do it.
So back to the cost of emotional health, right? Because if you're complaining is like bad breath or being stinky, like nobody wants to be around you, right? You might think that somebody wants to be around you, you're complainers, but the reality is that even they don't want to be around you because they wish maybe your complaint is bigger than their complaint. So again, the cost of complaining, I just keep on thinking of that. It's really making me think, like, you can save life, or life itself is the cost of complaining.
Yeah.
And you manage a big team. Like, your new role, you just got put into a new role where you manage a team of how many people?
Let's see. There are about 15 people, between 5 to 10 actively in the office at any given time. And so, yeah, complaints never go away, I would say.
Sure.
But because of what we're talking about, just knowing that we can make a difference. Everything you guys are talking about, like, I've heard before, but it's the application of that, right? So when somebody's complaining, then I'm thinking, like, okay, maybe this person needs a hug, right?
How do you handle those complaints? So you're managing a team of 15. Roy and I, we have our own teams too, but you're doing it on behalf of the company. So you may not be able to take the same approach he and I do. So, and I know you are if there was a statue we could put of, like, what the model mentor is supposed to look like, it's you. Like, just plain and simple. I've been around enough people in my life to know that even then, I can't say that I've met somebody like you who focuses on your team the way that you do. So it's like, how do you handle that? You come into the office, you see your people are complaining, and it starts spreading. What do you do?
Well,
Fire.
He's like, I got more aggressive. I'm much more aggressive now. You don't know the new me, Art.
no, you know what? I tell people this. So in this leadership manager role that I have, it's not like corporate America where somebody complains, you can literally just give him a warning, write up, and then quickly they'll shape up, right? Because they know that they need their job, and if you fire them, they can't feed their families. Here it's different because these people, while they report to me, it's like an indirect report because they're independent. So I have to influence them. So to your point, when they're complaining, which they do, sorry if you're listening, but that's the reality. We all complain, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, he's not saying your name.
Yeah.
All right.
Richard,
Jesse.
you, Jesse, and Richard. Imagine there's a Jesse and Richard that work there. He's like, no.
I try to just think back of when I was new, because there were times when I was new. It was I'll remember the guy who got me into this business. I'll never forget. Similar to you, it was 11 p.m. I had a very frustrating fight. I called him. He was available for me. He walked me through that. It made such an impact. Ironically, this guy and I are, I guess, not in good terms, but I'm still grateful for him.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I wish you well, whatever you might be. Like, like good for you. So now when people complain, I just try to think of that. I say, you know what? They're going through something. Who am I to judge them? I was new too. I didn't know what I know now. So I really try to shift myself first so that I interpret the complaint not as they're trying to be negative, purposeful to me. I don't take it personal, but there's something wrong. So then I help them focus, right? Because then people naturally start, oh yeah, it's because the coffee, the Starbucks, and this and that. And I go, no, okay, let's focus, right?
Yeah.
What is it that you're really trying to accomplish here? So that's how I handle it. And then of course that take many different steps. But that's I guess my initial setup on how I handle complaints.
So I love that because look at the thing that we have to talk about today. I got it in front of him, but I don't know if he was using it. Number 4, when we go, oh, it's off. There you go. I don't know. Go ahead.
He's just going with the flow.
He's going with the flow. Look, the thing
flow.
was off. It's 1994 on there. The 4 steps, right, for refraining complaints into growth opportunity or reframing complaints into growth opportunities. The 4 practical steps. Ricardo just said them without even having it in front of him. Pause and reflect. What's bothering you, right? Mm-hmm. Identify the root cause. When he said, okay, Starbucks upset you, but let's narrow it down. What's really freaking upsetting you? Taking ownership. I think it's a really big thing. And you and I, Roy, specifically have talked about this, that the only person you can blame is yourself.
Yeah.
Now, there's a certain point where it's like, fine. Like I was telling you guys about me going to physical therapy. It's like 4 weeks, I didn't get a call back. I complained. I didn't blame myself because I took all the necessary actions. Now, if I hadn't been calling every time, twice a week, and then getting to the point of filing a formal complaint to get them to call me back, I couldn't sit there. I wouldn't even have told you about it because I'd be like, well, they're going to say, well, what did you do?
Yeah.
You're waiting on them, but what have you been doing? So it's like taking ownership is really important, right? What can you do differently? So for those people who are complaining about the coffee making them late for work, what can you do differently? Is it go to a different coffee shop? Is it get up sooner? Because coffee, you can't sit there and say, I can't start my day without Starbucks. That's not real. That's something that you've told yourself, and now you believe it. So you think your day has no start until you spend $7 for a 30-cent cup of coffee, right?
Yeah.
Going back into budgeting too. Like we talk about budgeting all the time. That's not going to help your budget. That's not going to help your goals. And if you're miserable at work and you want to start this business or do whatever it is to be a better version of yourself, you think spending $7 a day every day just to start your day is the way to do it? No. Yeah. So taking ownership is really important, right? And then, like Ricardo said, setting small, actionable goals. Don't focus on the frustration. Focus on what you can do to alleviate it. Is it go to a different coffee shop? Is it get up sooner? Is it maybe make it at home and save money at the same time? And guess what? Today's technology, it's not like it used to be. You can, from your phone, set a coffee maker to start at this time so that once you wake up, that cup of joe is ready for you. So you can't even say, oh, I don't have time.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's all, I think I can add something there is, instead of reacting, have a response. And the difference between that react is you reacting emotionally, right? And when you respond, you actually think about it, what you're about to say. So a lot of times, you have a mentor. I have a mentor that made the big difference. His name is Alan, and he said, Roy, did you react or did you respond?
Yeah.
And like, damn it, I reacted. All right, let me go check that. Right. So those are ways to also navigate through things like that. When there's a challenge, is like, am I reacting or am I responding? Because the way you respond is going to be different than the way you react.
Right.
And I think that's a lot. What you're saying, Ricardo, was on point without you looking at it or anything. Like you take a breather and you're like, let me put myself in his shoes or her shoes. What's going on? Right. Seek to understand, to be understood. And that's very powerful right there, Ricardo, that you're doing that. Good job.
Thank you. And the whole reframing concept, right? Because, if we have an outline, we know, like when you're going through that moment, you're not going to be like, hey, Roy, let me pull my outline. Okay, I'm supposed to do, right?
Yeah, so, checklist.
Checklist.
Did we talk about this?
Yeah, but I was going to say is, I think it's important for, say, those of us who want to minimize or turn this complaint into an opportunity is to meet people where they're at, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to maybe attack them and say, hey, well, I can't believe you're complaining. You could have done this. Because at the point, it makes things worse, right?
Yeah.
And even sharing, because I know we all complain. I know I've complained, I know he was saying that when I was driving, I wasn't complaining. So, I really complained, but I complained in my car, right?
Yeah.
So by the moment I got to his office or whoever's office, I was like, you know what? I'm ready to go. But I think just relating to people, I think it will help them reframe. Otherwise, they'll be like, well, that's your art, that's your role. You're a coach, like you have a tattoo that says I'm blessed. I mean, people will find anything to say, well, that's you, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
being them my example and
But the only person that would say that to somebody like Roy, and I know you don't know Roy, and Roy's okay with, obviously we shared this story on the podcast. Roy went from almost losing his marriage, $70,000 in debt, bad credit, and definitely not on the path that he's on, was not a God-fearing man, not a God-loving man. So for somebody who would say something like that without getting to know who Roy actually is and say, well, Roy, you're a coach, it's easy for you to have this mindset. They don't know. They know Roy the coach. They don't know Roy the man that was struggling emotionally, mentally, physically, and everything. So it's easy to sit there and make an excuse for your actions, right? Like Ricardo's saying, I didn't know he was complaining, and that's fine. He has the right to complain because you're in the car, you're bored. Why not? I'll talk crap about something while I'm in the car too.
Yeah.
But when he got out of that car and I saw him in the parking lot, because we haven't seen each other in like a year, I think, something like that. Yeah. It was immediate. Smiles, hugs. Yeah. I miss you. I love you. How are you? Dude, it's so good to see you. It wasn't like, dude, the drive. It was like, I don't even care. If he would have been like the drive, like, we haven't seen each other a year. You want to tell me how bad the drive was?
Yeah.
Like, come here and give me a hug. Shut up.
No,
you know what I mean?
And that's so true, man. And you always have a choice. So you got a choice to grow, you got a choice to complain.
That's it. So learning and self-improvement instead of complaining, right? So growth mindset, the belief that skills and intelligence can be developed, which is true. None of us started where we're at today. All of the steps we've taken in life have molded us into who we are, how we think, how we perceive each other, and the relationships we build with each other. But we don't stop, right? Continuous learning, which is another point of this. We never stop. And it doesn't, whether it's watching podcasts, reading books, doing this, the point is you're constantly pushing for more. You don't just say, well, I like Roy, I like Ricardo, it ends here. I'm good here. I can stop here. This is nirvana. And I think the fun thing about it is like when you don't set boundaries, good boundaries, when you don't set like boundaries on yourself professionally and allow yourself to grow. I stop my growth here because I set this boundary. Like, don't do that. Keep learning, keep growing, keep becoming a better version of yourself, which inherently leads to skill building, right? So using your frustration as the catalyst to learn new skills, refine skills that you have. I told you, I was at my daughter's posado at the dance group. She had because she does folklorico dancing. So they had, for those of you who don't know folklorico dancing, that's Mexican traditional folk dance.
Yes.
I am Armenian, but I am married to one of yours.
Yeah.
Shout out. But one of
He's
the
jumped in.
I jumped in.
now you have kids, so that technically makes you a Mexican. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah,
There
yeah.
you go. I was at her Christmas party, and everybody there didn't know I was a business advisor, financial advisor, doing these things. They're like, "Oh, you're a photographer." And I was like, "What the hell? Why do you think I'm a photographer?" And they're like, "Well, because at her events, you're always excited. You're taking a lot of photos." I'm like, "That's just something I do on the side because I find it fun." But it was so funny to me that everybody in that room, because I go as a supportive dad, but I'm so busy making sure my daughter has all her stuff, helping her with the costume changes. Like when we go, bro, we take an actual like cart that holds all the clothes. I take a tent that puffs up so she can change in the tent. And then ever since I did that, all the other parents started doing that, right? It's like, dang, Art takes this seriously. But I go with the camera and I'm always taking pictures of her and her friends so that they can have these moments. And then I can keep these moments because she's not going to be the age that she is for him. Nope. She's 5 now. I can't get her back at 4, 3, 2, 1. I get her as I get her. So the parents are like, oh, he's doing something passionately. He's just enjoying himself. That must be what he does for a living. So that at this party, they're like, I said, oh, I got to go back to the office because I was working. I left at 4 to be at the party, and then I came back to the office at 7 to film the podcast with Kendall. And everybody's like, where are you going, Art? I said, I got to go back to the office. I have some things that I got to take care of because I take that very seriously, and I don't make an excuse for it. I had time to work. I had time to be with my kids, and then I had time to come back and do what I love to do. But they're like, oh, what are you taking pictures of today? I'm like, the hell are you talking about?
they didn't tell you, oh, you're going to go edit those pictures now?
Yeah, and they were like, that was what they were asking. Like, oh, you got to go do a photo shoot? I was like, a photo shoot for what? What do you think I do? Like, you're a photographer. I was like, who told you I was a photographer? Well, we see you taking pictures.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I see you cooking. That don't make you a chef.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. You know, and you were going?
No, it was just an interesting thing where it's like people's perception of what they see. Again, going back to what Ricardo said of like, well, Roy, I'm blessed on your tattoo and you're a coach. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not a coach. Like, what if I'm not a coach?
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, you can't make the assumption that the reason that the person in front of you is well and you're not is because they are X or they are Y. No, worry about the person in the mirror. Instead of worrying about why he can do it, why don't you think about why can't I do it?
Yeah.
You have a brain, you have, if you have limbs that work, and even if you don't, I have met people who can't walk have better optimism on life than people who complain about everything but have the ability to walk.
Yeah.
It's, and it's just one of those things where it's like, this man has to walk, he can never walk again. And he has a better attitude than you.
Yeah.
What's your excuse? Well, my coffee was late this morning.
That's where I think the priorities or our principles, our values, they're misguided. And I think once we start valuing, being grateful for what we have right now in our lives, I bet we are better now than what we were 5 years ago. Whoever it is right now, you were better than 5 years ago, right? So
you would hope. You would hope.
I would pray that you are just a little bit, not a lot, but just a little bit better.
Yeah.
Right. And I think when I see other people win, I feel like I won. Right. And when I win, I want you to feel that you won. Because if I can't do it by myself, and I will never say, oh, I did it by myself. No, I had surrounded cast. I have always the right people around me. But also, I'm like, I want you to know that I opened that door for you because other people opened door for me.
Yeah, the passive forward mentality.
So and there are many people, like in the topic of skill building, what you're talking about and what you're saying, there really is a lot of help out there. I just know that if somebody called you, Art, and say, I listened to your podcast and you talked about, photography, like, can you help me? I'm sure you'd be like, yeah, sure. I'll help you, right? Yeah. And I think it's just taking that action and doing something different that will put you in the path to building a new skill.
Well, again, I cannot coach energy and effort, right? So if you come in with energy and effort that you want to do something, I'm excited to help you.
Yeah.
But if you lack energy and effort and you want me to, no, that's not how this is going to work, because now I'm going to have to give you more energy and more effort out of mine where I can give it to my wife, my kids, or my clients, or my football players that really need my energy and my effort. So that's what that difference is too. Is how are you carrying yourself to really want to learn, or really want Art's help, or Ricardo's help, or my help, right? Is how you approach it. Are you coming in with a good attitude, or can you help me?
Yeah.
Oh, you see, that's where you don't help me. No one wants to help me. I'm like, dude,
There's
damn,
a reason.
bro,
The common
bro.
denominator, guys.
You sound like, bro, I'm not helping you.
If you have done something and the same thing keeps happening, I hate to break it to you, that means you're the problem.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get a girlfriend or a boyfriend and it never ends well, and it's the 17th time that this has happened, and you're wondering, why are they doing this? It's you, brother.
Yeah.
It is you, sister. It is you, whatever you are in between, around the corner, this, that. It doesn't matter. It's you. And I think this is a great segue into the next topic, which is work on bettering yourself, right? We're almost wrapping up here, guys, but working on bettering yourself. Once you've reflected, because that's the first thing that needs to be done. It's identifying the root cause and then reflecting on the issue, that it's you. Now, again, there are some scenarios where it's not you, but could you have done something better? Always. I think waking up, I have this mentality about waking up. As long as I wake up a better man than I was the day before, I'm not worried about waking up being a better man than I will be next week, because I don't know what next week has for me. But as long as I can be better than when I was yesterday, that's all that I aim for. And reflecting on what went right, what went wrong at the end of the night in my day, and then just understanding, where could I have done things differently? What could I have done better? Or what did I do well? I think giving yourself credit sometimes is not a bad thing, because being negative with yourself isn't going to help your mindset either. You have to be positive with yourself. You know what? I didn't meet my goal, and all of us have had those things.
Yeah.
Where we set goals, we didn't meet those goals, but we did pretty damn well. We were way closer to those goals than we were before. Now, could we do better? Sure. But we also have to give ourselves praise so that we can continue to motivate ourselves too. Because I am a firm believer that support and motivation is mandatory, but we can't rely on others for that confidence.
Yeah.
We need others to help support us through confidence and push us up when we're down, because we've all had those moments where we thought we can't do something. And you and I specifically, when it's like when we finally left that industry, it's like we grew up in that industry. So it was like, what's next for us? And I remember talking to you and you were like, I don't know, I might go to this bank, I might go to this bank. And you're like, what would you do? I was like, I'm never going to another bank again. I knew I was done. I knew that would never happen again. But it's just like, even then you're like, okay, so he doesn't know which one to go to. I know I don't want to go to one. And we're like, so where do we feel like we're lost on this island going everywhere I look, it's just water. Like it's just sea. There's no land on this side. There's no land on this side. I just got to kind of, I think this is west.
Yeah.
I think this is east. Then you just go and you hope that there's an island waiting for you.
Yeah.
What do you think?
We all just got quiet. Like,
No, well,
I feel like, is that the agreement or?
no, working better on yourself is not stating that you have to change everything all at once.
Right.
Right? Pick one thing. Pick one thing that it's gonna help you, right? And look, put it for the next 90 days. Not forever, for the next 90 days. Did it help you? Did it not? Right? Because one thing is, it can help you so along the way. So one thing I changed was I don't listen to the radio no more. I listen to books. From office to the house, to the house to the office. That's it. But whenever I put my headphones on to work out, I listen to music. Now, what that changes my mood when I'm working out, I have even more energy because I haven't listened to that song in a while.
Yeah.
Right? But listening to books, it takes me out from anything else that I shouldn't be thinking of. And also, it captured my attention that they said something that, oh, I like that. And I rewind it or I play it back. So it also, those one thing has helped my mood, helped my brain stay calm too, because I'm listening to more positive music. If I listen to negative music, guess what you're going to be? Negative. Right? If you listen to like heavy metal stuff, where you think you are, right? So I think that those are other ways. Is what are you listening to that is gonna allow you to be better 90 days from now?
Yeah.
So,
And for me, it's like the saying is, when you know your why, you'll find your way.
Yeah,
And so
I
really
like
being
that.
really being clear on why people want to even get better, right? Because some people don't want to get better. That's the reality. But if once they're clear and they have it even written out, like this is why, because I want more hugs from Roy, because if I'm complaining, he's not going to hug me. Or what was an example? It could be like hugs from your family member, more visits, and then layering in activities, because it's a transformation too. And people are professional complainers. They're not going to go from, excuse me, from there to being professional non-complainers. So
Yeah.
layering in activities.
Oh, it was great, and I'm hoping Arian, you got to clip that. That was good, brother. That's one of the clips that's going on Instagram. I like that. Knowing your why.
Knowing your why will help you find your way.
That's it, baby. That's a clip right there. Yeah, and that's surrounding yourself with positive and action oriented people is really, really important. I think Ricardo just nailed the hammer on the head. And then finally, the last topic before we wrap it up here, the call to action. Right? We're just reiterating the importance, guys. If you're unhappy with something, if something is a complaint for you, work on it.
Yeah.
Make small goals. We're going into 2025. This one's not finance based. We're talking about just if you have time to complain, you have time to grow. We're going into a new year. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, you trying to repeat this year or you want it to be a better year? Yeah. Well, then if you want it to be a better year, then doing the same thing you did all year this year isn't going to get you there.
Give yourself permission to succeed, right? And another thing is like, okay, give yourself permission. Okay, complain the rest of this year, but
Come
January 1st,
yep.
change that, right? That's it. Let it all out.
But hold yourself accountable.
Oh, that's a lie too. Holding yourself accountable,
Right?
Because you can't. You gotta have someone else to hold you accountable. Because if I ask you, right, to hold me accountable, and I need to call you every week to tell you my numbers, guess what I need to do? But if I try to hold myself accountable, and it's okay, I'll do double next week. I'll do double next week, right? But if I tell Art, like, hey, I'm gonna call you every Monday at 8 to tell you what I did, now I'm like, oh, need to do it, right?
Yeah.
I need to do it. So find someone in your life that can just hold you accountable, not to tell you what to do, but for you to call them and say where you are, right? If you told me you're going to walk a mile every week and you can call me to tell me that you did, you're going to be more willing to do it, because then I'm going to call you, did you do it?
Yeah.
Like, no. Okay.
And also asking yourself, if I don't change my complaining, will I get the results that I want? Like, do you want to be known as a complainer? Really, because if nothing changes, right? So I think it's just adopt a new habits, adopt a new comfort, a new mentality, and just really at the end owning that. Because if people say, "Oh, I'm not a complainer," just owning. Are you a complainer or not? It's like, are you an alcoholic or not? Either you are or you're not.
Yeah.
So just
I'm not an alcoholic. I just had 12 beers.
Every day.
I'm not addicted. I used to say I'm not addicted to food. You just had 10 burgers, a shake, and a fry. All right, maybe I'm a little addicted. But again, growth, guys. I Ricardo, thank you for coming out. Roy, thank you. I mean, I'm really happy that you guys got to meet. And for anybody who needs any real estate stuff, obviously, Roy's the man to go to. And with lending stuff, Ricardo, is the master. And there's going to be a point where, whether they end up with statues or not, for me, there's statues of you in here.
Oh,
for both of you.
Mount Everest, right?
Mount Everest. I like that. Forget statues. We're doing Mount Everest.
Yeah, there's that five or 6 or 7 core people in your life that are your Mount Everest. The ones that you're willing to do whatever you call what do you need me to do, right? Like the ones you don't even question no more. So find your Mount Everest, guys. Who are those people in your life that are really being a great influence in you, in your life, in your marriage, in your family, in your friendship, everything. Like, find your Mount Everest, and then I promise you, your life will get 10 times better than what you ever dreamed of.
Yeah.
So
And I think if we can get Ricardo to come back another time, I think pairing you two, where it's like we'll talk about how to get ready for real estate lending, how to get ready for your first home, because I think come 2025, it's going to be a big topic. Because I know I'm already hearing it. Everybody's like, "Oh, this year I'm going to buy a house. This year I'm going to buy a house," and I'm like, "Cool. What steps are you taking?" It's like, well, we need to give them the thing. So we'll try to work something out whenever you have time to come back and
in 2025. It's gonna affect the professionalism of how many people are coming back to work, right? For licensed lenders and licensed realtors. I'll tell you right now, 50 to 60% of realtors are not renewing their license. So that's gonna be more opportunities for me and my team and for me to help the right people, right? I know for a fact too, the lenders are going through that rough time right now. Most of them are not going to come back, or they're going to go full time. So,
well, cool. So since we're wrapping it, can I complain now about the desk and I'm gonna take action?
Right.
Well, I gotta take action. I didn't realize that the desk has the thing.
I know we're short, bro, but damn.
Listen,
what I mean?
listen. I'm gonna see if I can get somebody.
You get you're shorter than both of us, and you get the one with the space.
Well, yeah, dude. Last I checked, I pay the rent here. All right, guys. Well, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Parents and Pennies, episode 6. Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Ricardo. And if you guys have any last things to say, let us know. We hope everybody has a happy and safe Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Be good. Be with your family. Love each other. Treat each other well. And let's go into 2025 a better version of ourselves than we were in 2024. Whatever that means to each person listening, whatever that means to ourselves, let's just be the best version of ourselves we can be.
You're walking into a better version of yourself.
Dude, I'm walking into a whole new version.
250 pounds less.
260, get it right.
Oh, my bad.
I've been losing more weight while we've been doing this. But thank you, everybody.
And I'm looking forward to 5 seconds.
Which seconds?
Hugs.
Oh, he wants the 5-second hug. I was like, 5 seconds? Wait a minute. You just told the whole world. You told the whole world.
No. Well, that's why they got to listen to the whole podcast to understand that.
All right. There it is, everybody. There it is, guys. Be well. We'll see you in the new year. Take care.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Parents and Pennies. We hope you found our tips and insights helpful. Remember, it's not about how much you have. It's about making the most of what you've got. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other parents who could use a little financial guidance. Join us next week for more real stories, advice, and the financial wisdom you need to keep your family thriving. Until then, keep making those pennies count.